The stunning temples of Ankor in Cambodia are now only sacred remains of what was once a large religious and administrative centre in Southeast Asia. Numbering around 100 and supposedly built between the 9th and 13th centuries to glorify a succession of Khmer kings, the temples attract nearly 1 million tourists per year of various ages and religions to marvel at their grandeur. With this amount of people, congestion was always going to be a problem. So four 30-something travellers, Jem from Wales and her English boyfriend Tony, along with their good friends Jen and her other half Simon, used all their collective guile, a travel guide and a newspaper article on how to avoid the crowds and get round the temple in 3 days, with the famed Angkor Wat being their final destination. Day one began with a wake-up call at 5 AM, onto the hired motorbikes with guides and off to Phnom Bakheng for sunrise, where most visitors go at sunset to see Angkor Wat in the distance. We joined the group at 7:15 AM.
It's very hazy and there's so much to point your camera at, it's hard to know what to take a photo of.
After a freezing cold start at the beginning of the day, travelling on the bikes in darkness to the foot of Phnom Bakheng in order to hike up for sunrise, the guides John and Sally could now ride and talk in the warmth as they headed to the serene and tree-filled Priya Khan, known as the Sacred Sword.
Jayavarman VII, who apparently was one of the big builders here. He did most of the large temples, and this was his temporary home prior to Tarpon, which is a big one we'll see tomorrow. We're in now the sort of dormitory areas where all the priests used to live. You look up on top, cornered by the elephants. That's the sort of temple complex. But it's too hot.
After a long and tiring first day, the group chose to veer off from the suggested route and made their first stop of the day at the Fortress of the Women.
Where are we today?
Bantier 3.
And it's a bit busier today, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very busy.
It's 9:23. We've been up for 4 hours yesterday.
Do you really think it's quite fine carving?
Yes.
Does it look any different from?
Yes, it does, definitely.
It looks like it's been preserved better. Because a man couldn't do such fine carving.
There was plenty to see on the bikes, from the boundless natural wildlife to the livestock that hugged the road as its own.
This is the inner temple of this particular Bante. You can see here right in the centre at the top is called a Garuda, and he's the traditional enemy of the Naga, and the Nagas are the snakes. So what he'd normally be doing is holding them, but I think he's had his arms chopped off on this one. It's something that you see quite commonly in all these temples.
With plenty of mileage covered on the back of the motorbikes, the third and final day saw pedal power come to the fore.
How are you doing on the bikes?
It's not too bad. It's very hot. I've got a sore arse, but things like this, they make it all worth it.
This temple we call the Treasure the Leopard King. You know Treasure the Leopard King? We call it King Leprosin.
The heat was a real factor over the 3 days, and as the group neared the finish of their adventure, fatigue certainly took its toll. The large Bayan Pyramid Temple, built towards the end of the 9th century, was an unexpected surprise before Angkor Wat, with its 216 Buddha faces imposingly looking down on you from above. The Bayan epitomises the creative genius and huge ego of Jayavarman VII, exuding a power, control and just a hint of humanity, precisely the mix needed to hold sway over such a vast empire.
3 kilometres away and waiting for us is Angkor Wat. We have approximately 2.5 hours. We need to get a shift on.
Angkor Wat, built by Jayavarman II between 1113 and 1150, is regarded as the supreme masterpiece of Khmer architecture. It is a huge pyramid temple surrounded by a moat 570 feet wide and about 4 miles long.
4:15 on the last day.
We've made it. This is Angkor Wat.
We finally made it. The Angkor Wat.
Big, impressive, like a lot.
the pinnacle of all temples.
Oriented to the west, which is different to all the other temples. All the other temples are oriented to the east.
Apparently the idea is the higher you get up the steps, the lower you have to bow, so that you're low before the gods. So they get more and more severe the more they come up.
Just told you that.
You just knew that.
Came to her in a dream.
Just knew it.
Did you read it?
In the Lonely Planet.
On a lonely planet. The LP works for us, doesn't it? Good work.
Yeah, they make it steeper so that you have to crouch lower the higher you get. So it gets steeper the further up you get. So the closer you get to the gods, the more you have to stoop.
Thank you. What did you think of all the people? Did it annoy you?
A little bit too many people, but you know, it is for something of this quality. You've got to expect that kind of amount of people, especially at sunset, I suppose. But it is still well worth it.
What kind of nick do you think it's looking like?
Very good compared to the others we've been in. Only one part of it's falling down, so it's quite good going really.
Right? Anything to add? It's alright.
Just all right.
What time's dinner?
The Wat is dedicated to the god Vishnu and generally recognised as the highest achievement of Khmer temple architecture. The mass of bas-relief carving is one of the highest quality and most beautifully executed in Angkor.
Yeah, I've got to say it's the best preserved temple in the Ankor region by far, because it's the only one that wasn't overtaken by the jungle. It was constantly in use since 1112, so that's why it's looking pretty good, Nick.